Alright, 11.2 we were looking at areas of trapezoids, rhombi, and kites. So we have area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the quantity of the first base plus the second base. So you can think of it kind of as like an average of the bases times the height. And you can see on here the bases are the parallel sides and the height is the perpendicular distance between those two bases. Rhombus and kite have the same formula. So area equals 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 is what that stands for. So in example 1, we have a steel razor blade shown here, like you'd use for shaving or whatnot. So we're going to find the area of this. So just using my area formula, I have 1/2 times the height times the one base plus the other base. So this whole string, I can really just type that into the calculator. So I have 1/2 times 1 doesn't do anything, but then times the 2.5 plus 3 gives me 2.75 square centimeters. Okay, example 2, we have to do probably a little bit more work on here. So we have designing a deck that's shaped like a trapezoid. We have to find the area. So we have the one base, so this could be base 1. We have the height, but we don't know what base 2 is, but we can find that. So on here, if I draw this line down the middle, this is now separating this into a square and a triangle, so this would have a height of 4. Now I can find what this length is on the bottom here. So if this is 5 and this is 4, this is one of your Pythagorean triples, so this would be a 3, 4, 5 triangle, which means this is 3. Now if you didn't recognize that, you can do a quick Pythagorean theorem here to find that missing piece, and it will give you x equals 3. So now if this is 3 on this little piece, that means up on the top here, if the whole thing is 9 and that piece is 3, then this has to be 6. So now I have everything I need. 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So it doesn't matter what those are in. So this will be 15, this would be 2. So the area equals 30 square feet. Okay, example 3, we are finding the area of each rhombus or kite here. So here we have a kite, and that area is equal to 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So these are the diagonals, and it tells me right here the first one is 7. So I have 1/2 times 7. The second one is 12. So 1/2 times 7 times 12 would be 42 square feet. Okay, and example B. So here we have a rhombus. And you can see I have one tick mark on each of these. So if this is 9, that means that's 9. If this is 7, that means that's 7. So if I use my same formula here, one of the diagonals would be, oops, that's supposed to be a 1/2 in there, would be 14, and the other one would be 18. So if I do 1/2 times 14 times 18, that gives me 126 square inches. Okay, one more. So example 4 says one diagonal of a rhombus is 1/2 as long as the other diagonal. If the area of the rhombus is 64 square inches, what are the lengths of the two diagonals? So I always like to sketch a picture. So here's my little rhombus. It's not the prettiest rhombus you've ever seen, but that's okay. And here are the diagonals. Okay, so it says that one of them is 1/2 of the other. So I could label this one as x, which would mean the other one would be 2x. So x is 1/2 of 2x. So my formula, 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2, I'm putting a 64 in for the area. I have 1/2, and then I have x times 2x. So now I'm going to simplify and solve this. So if I look in here, I have a 1/2 and a 2. So 1/2 and 2 cancel each other out because 1/2 times 2 is 1. And then I have an x times an x, which is x squared. So then I would take the square root of both sides and I would get x equals 8. So that tells me one diagonal. So I can say diagonal 1 equals 8, and diagonal 2 was double that, so that would be 16. And those were in, did it tell me? Inches. We want to put our labels on there. Alright, so you've got 2 of them to do. Finding the area here. Make sure that you find the height. You're going to have to find the height first. And then over here is not quite as much work. And lastly, your joke. Where does a penguin keep his money? In the snowbank. Okay, hope you have a great rest of your day, and make sure you're kind to someone today.